Hey there guys, welcome to my Compound Life. I am Jonathan. This is a channel where we build assets, we build habits, and of course we build freedom. That will be financial freedom, time freedom for you, me, and anyone else that watches my video. So guys, I make Bitcoin video almost on a daily basis, and sometimes multiple videos too, right? So if you like my content, if you love Bitcoin, if you follow through what's happening with Bitcoin, if you simply do dollar cost average, pound cost average on Bitcoin, I reckon you should follow me. So hit the like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comment section where you guys watching from, right? It's always good to hear from viewers, and you guys will support me tremendously as I am just a small content creator. Okay, so what I want to talk about today. By the way, disclaimer, not financial advice, do your own research, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so I think I want to talk about a few things on my mind recently, especially with such, with such Bitcoin price action. So what's on my mind, and I'm always keen to share with you guys, right? And I'm always looking forward if you guys can share with me your thoughts, your feedbacks too on the comment section. So what I'm thinking about right now, I'm thinking about selling, right? Not Bitcoin, of course, because I've mentioned in my other earlier video, maybe I won't sell Bitcoin yet because Bitcoin obviously dropped quite a lot. And which, by the way, I hold a hodl bag of Bitcoin as well as a swing bag for Bitcoin. Hodl bag, I'll never ever sell. Swing bag, I just buy low, sell high. So every now and then when we peak at around 110, 120, I sold a little bit. Obviously, I haven't sold all because I was expecting Bitcoin to go a lot more higher, which obviously it did not. So that's fine. Very likely this swing bag of Bitcoin will be put into the hodl bag. So making the hodl bag a lot more bigger moving forward. Anyway, so what's in my thought right now? Number one, I want to sell. Sell essentially means sell more of my altcoins or crypto, right? Because it does seem we already entered a bear trend since last year, October, right? And I think with how the price action for Bitcoin, essentially, we kind of confirm that it's moving, Bitcoin is moving the same way as it has always been for the past 3 cycles. So reminder, we are on the 4th cycle, right? So if we consider October the 8th, that was the Bitcoin top, right? It takes approximately 12 months to 15 months before Bitcoin hits the bottom, right? So I reckon it's kind of safe to say we are in a bear trend, or we have been in the bear trend since October last year. And at the same time, right, if we are in a bear trend for Bitcoin and crypto, it probably makes sense for me to be out of my altcoins. The ones that I can probably sell off, I think it makes sense for me to get back into stable coins and essentially just get ready as much as possible so that I can, get back into Bitcoin when the time comes, right? So the whole purpose of this video is talk about I want to sell, at what price, and second things would be I'm looking to accumulate, right? When do I want to accumulate? Okay, so let's start with I want to sell, right? What I'm paying attention a lot right now is this. Hang on, where's my... All right. Well, I'm paying a lot of attention right now. Okay, so I posted this on my YouTube post. So if you guys check that out, and drop a like too, that would be nice of you guys to do that. Okay, so Bitcoin, Over the weekend, I think Bitcoin price dropped tremendously. We were around 80,000, 83, 84. And then immediately it dropped so fast. We dropped almost onto 75, I think, right? Yeah, 75 or even low. 74. Yeah, around 75,000. Okay, so over the weekend, it obviously formed what we call a CME gap, right? And CME gap, by the way, what's the CME gap? Let's just go through it again. Bitcoin futures on the CME that don't trade 24/7. When price move over the weekend, a gap can form between Friday close and Monday's open. So historically, Bitcoin often revisit these gap to fill them, sometime quickly, sometime over weeks or months. Not financial advice, and do your own research, right? Why it matters, especially for holders, right? People who hold their swing back, people in profit, people are looking to exit a little bit. A lot of us do have a lot of lifestyle expenses that we need to pay sometime, right? So it makes sense for you to de-risk, sell some, and this could potentially be your opportunity, right? So the CME gap, it's around $84,000, and potentially we may, revisit $84,000 from what's the current price right now, 74, 75, or 77,000, right? So I think market open this morning, today, my time is UK time, so yeah, slightly different. So if we look through the price action for the past 15 minutes, yeah, it does seem we are trying to get back up at least up until about 80,000. So 84,000, this could be the last, I don't know, I'm just speculating again, right? This could be the last time then that we can take some profits and be out in some of our position, right? Until the until the Bitcoin bottom hits. Okay, so there's a CME gap for Bitcoin, and at the same time, there's also another CME gap for Ethereum. Okay, so Ethereum 3,200. Right now, price action for Ethereum, let's quick check. Ethereum is very beaten up, 2,300, right? So potentially we can get up to 3,000, 3,200. So if you, at least for my case, right? I want to be liquid. I want to get back into accumulation for Bitcoin. I have so much more conviction on Bitcoin now because this is my third Bitcoin cycle. I did so much more better in the second and leading on to the third Bitcoin cycle. It's essentially I follow and be disciplined and focus on Bitcoin, right? So that's why I kind of felt, whatever I do, moving forward, I'll just simply focus on Bitcoin and nothing else. So potentially this could be another opportunity to take profits, okay, and then move out. And why do I say that, right? Why should we move out, right? So let's take a look at this. Not this. Maybe not this. This one. All right. If you guys follow me on my channel, I show this every single time. I show this chart almost every single day, right? White line. This is the current Bitcoin cycle from bottom to the recent all-time high. That's here. Sometime for the white line will be in October the 8th. That's when Bitcoin was at around 126,000. And then Bitcoin will eventually get to the bottom. So this measures bottom to bottom. for the multiple Bitcoin cycle. So the white line is the current Bitcoin cycle. Blue line was the from the last cycle. And from the one before, it's represented by the orange line. Okay. And typically, it takes approximately 1 year from Bitcoin top to Bitcoin bottom. Okay, not 1 year, maybe about 12 to 15 months. Okay, so we need to be a bit flexible sometime. Okay. And in that case, these are essentially showing some bounces, dead cat bounce, which is always good, right? You haven't been able to take profit, do take profit, makes sense. So that you can have enough so that by the time Bitcoin reaches its bottom, you can get back into reaccumulation. Okay, so what you want to do, so this bottom here for the last cycle will form the bottom for this cycle, right? So what you want to do, you want to DCA and buy as much as possible so that we've got at least 1 year of bear cycle, which is now, right? So this year, this 1 year of bear cycle, by the way, we are almost 4 months. We almost did 4 months of the bear cycle. Oh, look at this dip, right? So we could potentially have a peak, not a peak, a slow climb upwards, right? And potentially will continue to go down, right? So what you want to do is to make sure throughout this period of time, at least what I'm trying to do, right? So as I said, I'm not selling more Bitcoin, but what I'm doing is I'm selling my altcoins because, trust me guys, altcoins will bleed very, very much, okay? And during bear market, when we get there, right, your altcoins will bleed 70, 80, 90%, okay? And many times, many times, these altcoin project may not even get back to another all-time high, right? So if you bought your altcoins, your crypto coins, your shit coins, your meme coins at the peak, very likely for them to make another all-time high in the next cycle, it might not do so, right? So bear that in mind. So what I'm trying to do now is to rotate out my altcoin because obviously Bitcoin is not going to suddenly do a parabolic move upwards, right? If it does, I am thinking, with all of the global liquidity, ISM business cycle, infinite money printing, Kevin Walsh rate cut leading onto, infinite quantitative easing. None of that will come until much later this year, in alignment with the midterm election, right? So historically, equity market usually it dips right now, right? Bitcoin almost for all of the midterms election year, that specific year, perform badly, right? Because it's the bear market, because it's always been in this period, right? So that's why this would be a time, for us to be in liquid for, at least for crypto, right? If you want to sell off your swing back for Bitcoin, this could be a good time to sell so that by the time it gets to the bottom here, we reaccumulate here, right? We've got about a full year or 2 years to reaccumulate, and then we let it run again. Okay, so if that's the case, right, when do I enter, right? When's the bottom? I don't know, right? To be honest, I don't really know. So that's why sometimes I reference to the 200 days, not 200 days, I always say it wrong. 200 weeks, 200 weeks simple moving average. And that's this line here. Okay, so this line, by the way, it changes. Okay, so because Bitcoin price is, at quite high up now, right? So this line will eventually go up. So by the time when the Bitcoin price converge with the 200 week simple moving average, I reckon we should probably be around 60K. Okay, well, let's just think maybe 58. I mean, for the time being, it's already near 58,000, right? So very likely by the time if Bitcoin price continue to drop, it will cross this at around 59, 60K. Okay, so that will be, at least for me, I think that will be like the right time to enter, right? So that's why, earlier kind of looked through this zone. Let's zoom out a little bit. Go to daily chart. Okay, zoom out. Right. So again, this blue line represents 200 days. Not 200, guys. 200 bloody weeks. 200 weeks moving average. Okay, so that would be this zone here. We were in this zone for quite some time, not long ago. That was back in 2024, right? So that is when the election started. Trump, what would you call it? In inauguration or something. Yeah. So that's when Bitcoin pumped. Right, then obviously it dropped and then it pumped back again. Okay, so coming back to this makes a lot of sense, right? So if we kind of look back into this chart where's that chart? All over the place, guys. Sorry. Okay, so if we kind of look into this and have the expectation that Bitcoin will continue to drop and meet the 200 weeks moving average, right? It's going to form something like this. Okay, so if we look through the previous halving event, right? So the previous halving date for Bitcoin, the third halving, that was sometime in May the 11th. Right, so we look through it. May the 11th, 2020. Okay, 2020. So that's somewhere here. So Bitcoin halving happened somewhere here, right? Where Bitcoin price was around 8,800 and the 200 week simple moving average was around 5,700, right? And I always say to you guys, right, 500 days before Bitcoin halving is actually a good time to accumulate, right? So if we move to about 1 year, so this is like May the 10th, 2019, sometime in May. Okay, so this is 365 days. This is about 1 year, right? So if we say 500 days, essentially this would be in this period, right? So this is where you want to get into Bitcoin. And essentially, this is where, again, Bitcoin price converge and meet the 200 days moving average, right? And yeah, there's a lot of incidents similar, right? So this is when the price meet, Bitcoin obviously peak. So for at least for the last cycle, right? Not the current cycle, but the last cycle, right? 500 days before, you kind of DCA in at the low, right? And this is where, Bitcoin peak and then eventually dip to about 200 days moving average. This is where you start to want to buy in. And then you're going to be blessed with 3 years, from here. That's kind of like the bottom, right? Yeah, so this is kind of like the bottom. So that's the halving event. That's like 365 days. That's about 500 days. And then you'll be blessed with 3 years worth of, 3 years worth of bull market. Okay. And obviously Bitcoin peak sometime again in November. I think it was 69,000. Sorry, I can't capture this correctly. So Bitcoin peak at around November, sometime in 2021. And then it follows another bear year, right? So 61, it's all bearish, and then get to about bottom sometime in 2022, November. That's the Bitcoin bottom at around 16,000, right? So this is where the price again meet the 200 weeks moving average, right? So this is where, you'll be like, oh, damn, this is where I should really be accumulate Bitcoin, right? Right. So in this recent cycle, we had about, about a full year worth of downtrend, right? So that's sometime 69K, took about a year to get to about bottom 69,000, moving to about $16,000. I reckon it was less than that. Maybe it was like 15. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not too far off. And then in the current cycle, measured from the bottom to the top, right? Essentially, we have got about 1 full year of bear year, right? That Bitcoin drop to the bottom. And this is where you want to accumulate as much as possible and get ready for another run. Okay, so from what you're seeing here, definitely we are getting less and less of that blow off top, right? But at the same time, the volatility are a lot more easier for us to stomach, right? So maybe that's a good thing. So bear that in mind, right? So this is why I'm kind of paying attention to 200 weeks moving average. Actually stated in my YouTube too. So if you guys look into it. Did I not post it? I wrote about it. Maybe I haven't posted it. You know what? You're right. I never posted it. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's it. What I want to talk about. Pay attention to the 200 days moving. Someone just slapped me, guys. Just slapped me. It's 200 weeks moving average. And at present, it's around 57,000, almost 58,000. I think with how Bitcoin price is moving right now, If we get a that cat bounce CME gap covering at around 84,000, this 200-week simple moving average will easily get to about 59 or 60,000, right? And in that case, this would be the zone where we want to reaccumulate. Okay, so to drop to that zone, maybe it takes about a few months. March, April, I don't know, right? But at the same time, the fact that I've mentioned about DCA at the bottom, right? So if we look through this, just like to see my face bigger sometime. Okay, so again, coming back to this chart, this 0 marks the Bitcoin halving day. Okay, you want to accumulate Bitcoin 500 days before the halving day, right? So all of this line indicates the Bitcoin price, right? So the recent one, this is the current Bitcoin cycle. That's the fourth one. It's represented by the blue line. The third one is represented by the yellow line, and the second one represented by the purple line. So what you want to make sure you want to capture this is to try to DCA as much in the 100 to 200 days within the 500 days before the halving event, the Bitcoin halving date, right? And then you can kind of enjoy the bull cycle. So bull cycle, starts from here, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 years, right? Yeah, so that's what I want to talk about, CME gaps and 200 weeks moving average. So maybe what you might want to do is when we get to the CME gaps, not doing too well today. When we get to the 200 weeks moving average, that could be before November, right? So as a reminder, 500 days before the next Bitcoin halving date, let me bring this up, will be sometime in, drop a like, guys, drop a like. And leave a comment too. So 500 days before the next halving date, the next halving date would be April the 13th, 2028. So that's we're like 800 days away from it. But you want to get into the zone and to do heavy DCA. That will be sometime around 500 days before the halving date, right? So meaning you've got about another 300 days left to stack up cash, right? Stack up as much cash as possible. If we do dip to the 200 weeks moving average, I would kind of DCA a little bit more in rather than waiting until November, right? So November this year will be 500, the start of the 500 days before this date, right? So that's the kind of timing and rhythm that I want to chat about this today. So let me know if I've been able to explain this correctly. I'm just, guys, my brain's not working well these few days. So let me know if you guys understood, right? Otherwise, I'm just going to have to create more video of such to make sure that I can explain this well for everyone else. Anyway, drop a like, hit subscribe. Let me know what you guys are doing. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Even just drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comment section where you guys are watching from and which subscriber numbers you guys are. That would be really helpful. I just like to track who's my... How many subscribers I have now. I just want to track who are all my subscribers, the top 1,000 subscribers. Because, why 1,000? Well, 1,000, it's a very important numbers, right? And the more I can get to understand you guys, the better. Okay, so that's it for today. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.